All right, so here are two quick ways for you to grow in assertiveness. One is to give the sentence, I am open to blank, I am not open to blank. And sometimes when someone else makes a request or a demand of us, we may find ourselves feeling stuck between the options of saying yes and going with their demand or request, or saying no, we're in the position of rejecting. So the template, I am open to blank, I am not open to blank, provides an alternative option. So an example is if someone asks, hey, can we go to San Francisco and do XYZ things? I might not be up to that because I tend to have low energy. So I may say, hey, I'm open to grabbing coffee for a couple of hours with you. I'm not open to spending the whole day in SF. That might be enough. So instead of you being in a position of going with the other person's request exactly as it is, or denying their request completely, you pitch a third option. Now, there's room for negotiation here, and that's totally okay. The idea is that you're not stuck in an all or nothing arrangement. The converse can happen as well. When you're making a request to someone else and they're in a position of saying yes or no, and they say no, you follow up with, well, what are you available to do? And so you give them an opportunity to speak for themselves. That way, you don't just have two options, it opens up that conversation. So that's the first way. I am open to blank, I am not open to blank. The second way of being assertive is to not over-explain yourself. Now, if you're like me and a lot of people that I work with, we tend to kind of feel bad about putting forth our needs. We feel guilty, or we're scared that the other person may say no or get mad or whatever. And when we finally muster up the courage to make a request, we provide this long, lengthy explanation as to why that request needs to happen or why it's a good idea. Now, it's totally understandable why people might do that. The downside is the more you explain yourself, the more you actually dilute down the effect of your request. You water it down. So sometimes when you over-explain, the listener may have a harder time keeping track of what your initial request is. So an example might be, instead of saying, I'm not available on Friday, if you say something like, I'm not available on Friday because I need to go to the grocery store, because I need to gather all this food to prepare because my in-laws are coming tomorrow and they have high expectations. The other person's like, well, that's way too much information than I needed. The over explanation might not be necessary. And sometimes it's just generally good practice, especially if you have a hard time with boundaries, to hold back on sharing more than is actually concretely necessary for the question at hand. The main question is, are you available on Friday or not? So instead of over-explaining yourself, stick to the point, stick to the action item, saying, I am available on Friday, I'm not available on Friday. And notice how often you do over-explain and see what tends to happen in those conversations. More likely, the other person you're talking to may feel or sense that you are more defensive or you are more insecure, because in effect, you're kind of backtracking. So state the request very clearly, or state the boundary very clearly. You don't owe anyone an explanation for anything, for any of your decisions. If you happen to be interacting with someone who tends to push boundaries, like they say, well, why? Well, that might actually be a reflection of them being a less safe person than you thought they were, and that might be a signal for you to start dialing back for that very reason. If you're interacting with someone who demands to know the very reasons or justifications for your actions, that's kind of a sign that they don't really respect you all that much. So to develop respect, you actually, instead of giving more of yourself, you give them less access to you. That's generally a good practice. So in summary, two quick ways of being assertive. One is for you to say the sentence, I am open to blank, I am not open to blank. The second one is to watch when you over-explain yourself and practice dialing back Don't have to do a full 180. Just practice dialing back 5% and then see what happens. Sometimes people might be okay with a simple yes or no. We don't know. So go test it out. All right.